Hello and welcome to the TBGS podcast. I'm Sonja Wood, and today in today's podcast I wanted to talk to you about a recent event that we were at, and that is Comic-Con Cape Town. We live in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa, and Cape Town is on the southernmost part of South Africa, and we are on the east coast. And so we took a long, slow road trip to Comic-Con. And we had other reasons for us to go down to the Cape, and that is our daughter and son-in-law moved there last year, and we hadn't yet been to see them in their new place and their home and everything. So we were excited to go and see them there. And at the same time, we were taking this long, slow road trip down to go and attend Comic-Con Cape Town, which we were very pleased and excited about doing because we'd never attended Comic-Con before. We've been to other board game conventions, tabletop board game conventions, but not Comic-Con. So off we went, and I have to say that the journey was very much a part of the whole experience, not just Comic-Con, because it was actually 4,000 kilometers, to give you some idea of the distance that we drove. And I say 4,000 meaning there and back. So it was a commitment to go on this road trip, to go to Comic-Con. And it's not one that we're sorry for, because we came back from Comic-Con with the following experiences. First, we came back with a T-shirt, a nice T-shirt that says Comic-Con, and it's got a lovely, colourful image of Table Mountain on it. And so we're very happy with our T-shirts. So, we got the T-shirt. But the actual experience all round of being at Comic-Con was an interesting one, and one that we're not sorry for having had that experience. But us as actual tabletop board game enthusiasts, hobbyists, Comic-Con is not actually an ideal place for us, as in it's Comic-Con. I mean, it says it right there in the word that it's actually about Comic-Con. It's the focus is very much on that. And yes, there were booths and stuff with tabletop games, board games, which we could visit. But that was a very small percentage of the bigger picture. So we realized that as much as it was a worthwhile experience, and we're not sorry we went, it did answer quite a few questions for us with regard to, is that something we would attend every year? The answer is no, it's not. We've done it, and we've experienced it, and we've seen what it's all about, and we would prefer to spend time at an actual tabletop board game convention that has a very specific focus. Because actually, James, my son, he does all the videos on the YouTube channel for that board game show. And so he, does these like explainer videos where he shows a game and explains it. And that is what he does. And so this particular convention wasn't an ideal area, an ideal environment for him regarding that specifically, the YouTube channel. Regarding us just as experiencing it as people and going to it, as I say, we're not sorry for having done that. But there is a bit of a negative that I could just leave out, but I think it's too important to leave out, so I'm going to tell you about it. And that was the exceptionally loud PA system or sound system or whatever at the convention. Oh my word. It was, for me, like ear-bashing abuse. I mean, that sounds really dramatic, but seriously, you couldn't actually go up to a booth and talk to somebody without standing right next to them, in front of them, and shouting. And they had to shout back at you. And you couldn't talk. I couldn't talk to James. We were walking along together. And I couldn't turn to him and say something to him because he wouldn't be able to hear me. Because the sound system, oh my word, it was so loud. And you went from one area to another area, and it was a different sound system. So it sounded like there was this clashing of different sound systems. And it was just terrible. Really, it was unpleasant. And if if that is how the next Comic-Con was going to be, even though there's other reasons why we identified it wasn't a place that was ideally suited for what we do, but even if it was, I wouldn't go again because of that, really, unless I knew that that wasn't going to be like that. Then perhaps I'd go. But I thought, it's a negative, and I'm going to share it on this podcast for anybody who happens to be listening, if they can just consider this, if they were involved in any aspects of that, of a convention. Just to consider, please, making it pleasant for the attendees to be able to walk around a convention. And sure, there's sound systems and there's announcements and there's shows going on and all kinds of things. But so yes, there's going to be noise, but wow, not like that was. It was unpleasant. And then we went into on the good side. We went into one little corner, and we saw these people with headphones on, and there was a person speaking on the stage with the microphone, and you couldn't hear what they were saying because the sound system was put through to everybody's headphones, and people that, if you wanted to go and sit and listen to that presenter, you put the headphones on and then you would be hearing what they were saying. And I just thought that was fantastic because it could block out the rest of all the distracting noises, but they also were not competing with the next arena or the next booth or the next aisle or whatever. So, yeah, sound became a bit of a problem for me specifically, and I thought maybe I was just being sensitive to it, and then I started asking a few other people, and there wasn't anybody that said that they found it to be okay or they were comfortable with it. That was not the case. So that's why I thought I would talk about it here in this podcast today. But other than that, I could speak for a very long time about all the adventures that we had on the road trip going there and back again. Oh my goodness, we just felt so thoroughly blessed by the spectacular country and the countryside and the scenery. It's literally like postcard perfect. It just was really amazing. And the weather was ideal and just totally wonderful. So we had a really good trip. And of course we came home all inspired to get back into playing our board games. But hang on a moment. Before I talk about getting back home, let me tell you that we took little games with us on our road trip. And it was a good thing because some of the places we stayed at had one tiny little round table. And that was the space we had to play on, either that or the bed or the floor, I suppose. And we intentionally took small games that didn't take up a lot of space because we didn't know, at home we've got a nice area that is especially for our board games. But, going into the unknown when you're traveling, you don't know what you're going to be faced with when it comes to space. In fact, the one place we went to, they had a 12-seater dining room table. It took up the whole area. And so we used that, and we used one little corner of it to play our games because we only had these tiny games. In fact, some of the games we had were tiny epics. You would know about those. Those who are listening and who know all about board games will know about the tiny epic series. And so we had a couple of those with us. We played those, and that was fun. But you know what? While we were traveling, every place we stopped at, we took out a board game and played it. And I just thought how nice this was because you've been traveling all day. And when you get to the place, your destination, it's just so nice just to sit and relax and take out a game and play a game because doing anything else was either a challenge or a difficulty, or an example being technology. You go to a place and their Wi-Fi isn't working or something. It's the technical stuff, and it doesn't just always work like you want it to or hope for it to. But a board game does, on the other hand, because you can just take it out your bag and take it out the box and put it on the table and have a game and have fun and pleasure and relaxing. Have a relaxing time after traveling all day. So I have to say that our board games that we traveled with were really quite a hit. I thoroughly enjoyed them. We got to play some games that we were finding difficult to get familiar with at home because, we love variety. So we those kind of board gamers that play the game and then play the next one and play the next one. And this year we've been working through a theme we started at the beginning of the year called our Shelves of Ambition. And the plan has been to play games that we have played once or twice and get them up to 5 or 10 plays. And we've been intentional about that, and it has been such a positive thing. So what we did, it's been positive for all kinds of reasons, which are on other podcasts and which I'll share some more about. But on this particular road trip, these board games that we took with us were ones that we intentionally took them as part of our Shelves of Ambition mission, but also just because we knew that we were maybe going to have time to focus on repeatedly playing these, meaning in the evenings when we arrived at our destination, we'd play this particular game. So it so turned out that one of the games, its name is Greenland, we had played once and thought, well, that's going to take a bit of figuring and getting used to. And then 3 weeks later, we'd played again. And then 2 months later, we played again. But when we took it with us on our road trip, we played only that game. I don't even know how many times, until eventually we really had a good feel of the game. We really enjoyed it. We got to know how it all sort of flows in its mechanism. And it just got better and better and better with every play. And I have to say that is the overall feeling and the overall experience I'm getting from our Shelves of Ambition mission, is this repeating the same game. It's not always something that I jump into excitedly about, like, okay, well, let's play it again. It's not going, oh, yay, let's play it again. It's not like that. Yeah? But each time we play it again, it actually does fire up that enthusiasm to play that game more. It just seems to work anyway for us. And that is something that was a real positive of the whole road trip, was just getting to know these little games so well. So we're very happy for that. But anyway, it was good to get home as well because we had our nice board game area and we could take out a game that we were looking forward to, a big sprawling game, and put it out there and start playing board games again that aren't just these little boxes. Excepting the little boxes were quite impressive in how much they had to give. So I don't think it's about the size of the box after all. Anyway, that is what I have to share with you today. You would have noticed that I have just been sitting here on my own today, chatting about all this. Jamie does the editing, the audio editing on these podcasts, and when he listens to them, if there's something he feels to jump in and add to, then he does. But otherwise, I don't have him with me in the booth at this moment. I'm just chatting to you on my own. And I'm very happy to. I love to be able to talk to you about board games and everything about them. So thank you for your ears and thank you for listening. And until the next podcast, bye for now.